What up? What's happening, everybody? Welcome back. Blood Splatter Chatter here, live on a Thursday afternoon to talk about a film that none of us had ever seen. First time watch for all three of us. I got the missing link and Stu from Dr. Doom's fan club to discuss Kill List 2011, directed by Ben Wheatley. And this was a film that I feel like I heard about it on the Evolution of Horror podcast, which is a British podcast, best podcast for horror in the fucking world. It's fantastic. And I feel like I had just always heard about it, but I'd never heard like a full breakdown on it. I'd always stayed away from the spoilers, and I'd heard it was like not it didn't fit very nicely in the horror genre, but it had folk horror elements to it. And it was described as a two hitmen that go, they're out, he's got two hitmen that have a kill list, and they're out killing people, and you find out, not too much of a spoiler, but there's like these cultists that have hired them. Little do they know. And they don't even know how long that they've been working for these people, but it leads to a pretty wild ending that we will get to. We won't spoil the end until we get to the end. But I'll say before I send it to you, Link, I was a little nervous at first because we picked this blind. I'm pretty hesitant to pick movies that I haven't seen and none of us had seen it. And also, like with these British films, a lot of times, like I said, I listen to a lot of British podcasts, and sometimes they're a little higher on the British films than when I check them out. There's just something about, which makes sense. It makes perfect sense. And this is maybe the most fucking British film that I've ever seen that was made after the 70s. It's so British. The accents are so thick. And it's kind of falls in that like mumblecore category where it's like super realistic shot documentary. And it's like, I don't know. At first, I was like, what the fuck are we watching? I was a little nervous, a little trepidatious. But by the end, I really enjoyed it, or I enjoyed it a decent amount. And then I did end up watching it again, and I kind of loved it when I watched it again. I don't know if I wasn't vibing with it as much as I could have been the first time, or I think I was maybe a little confused in a few spots, but I really, really dug the rewatch. But I'm curious what you guys thought. As I said, missing link, first time watch for you. Johnny, recaps, my brother. What's going on? Appreciate you being here, man. What'd you think, Link?
I did enjoy it. I see people's gripes, or I can see how it would be. At a certain point, I was like, "Where's the horror?" You know?
Yeah.
It wasn't really scary. That's the thing. It was a good. Yo, what up? It's an interesting enough movie. I was down for the journey, but it's not scary, and it's like even towards the end, some shit. Without getting into it, shit pops off, but I wouldn't even say it was necessarily scary. It was interesting. I am gonna give it a second watch because I do like the main actor. I was telling you guys backstage that I've seen him in the show called Utopia. He plays like the same character, probably a little darker. But I'm having a hard time articulating this one. It was because it was an interesting movie. Like the relationship between the two hitmen was interesting, and the whole them going off the beaten path, and because they're only supposed to go on the list, and once they find out that this list is once they find out some details about this list, they're like, no, they become kind of like vigilantes in a sense,
right.
So that was all interesting, but it's like I'm really just like I was telling you backstage, we'll get to it, but I was just such a head scratcher, the ending, but I did dig it. It's just not necessarily I was kind of like, is it interesting one to be on Shudder?
I think it's kind of like it's one that definitely is worth a rewatch because it kind of has that quality where some of what they're saying. First of all of what they're saying is hard to understand for an American viewer, but there's a lot of double talk going on where it's like, oh, there's secret meaning and certain things mean other things once you do the rewatch, and like I said, that there's like this cult behind the whole thing that's been hiring the killers. It's a little bit more, it's not in the movie much, but like you feel when you know what is going to happen at the end, like you kind of feel the presence of the cult more throughout the whole movie. And even the horror tones a little bit more throughout the whole movie.
And it instantly like made me want to go back and rewatch it again, once you get there. Yeah.
But
it does leave some breadcrumbs.
It definitely does. And it's like, I don't know, I guess we'll get to it because like I said, we will, once we get our opinions. I do want to kind of just get into like what happens, like what is the whole thing about. But Stu, what'd you think, man? First time watch.
Loved it, dude. First time watch it. This one completely took me by surprise. I love the way it was shot. Like Link said, I love the interpersonal relationships, whether it was like the two dudes working together, the husband and wife, just even the what was the girl's name from the cult who kind of infiltrated
Fiona.
Fiona, even her, just kind of her je ne sais quoi and the way she carried herself was very like intriguing. I don't know, and it had all these like mysterious elements. You always felt like something wasn't quite right, and it says all these things about PTSD and the domesticated lifestyle and all that, but it's also just like like an unnerving wild ass like satanic cult flick. So I thought it did so many things in such a unique and unusual manner. I really enjoyed it. I put it on late at night. I was busy most of yesterday, so I usually try to, watch them on my days off, like in the afternoon. And I put it on after the show last night, fully expecting not to finish it, man. But like just from the beginning, the pacing and the way it was shot and just what we were getting into, I was into it and stayed up the whole night, watching it. So I really enjoyed it first time watch.
That's awesome. I kind of did the same thing. I kind of put it on expecting not to finish it, and I made it through the whole thing. And I think that was part of the thing. My first watch, I was pretty tired. It was pretty late at night, and there was one bit that I just kind of lost attention, or maybe it was didn't understand it because of the accents, and I kind of didn't know why exactly he deviated and why he went crazy and went off list. You know what I'm talking about? And that kind of the second watch, I was like, oh, duh, it's super clear, like what's going on. And that's another part of it. Like you brought up his PTSD. It's definitely like a movie about that too. It's about this guy that's been through war, he's been through war, which led him into being a contract killer, which I think is where he developed the PTSD in Kiev.
You know, yeah, and there's also there's also that bedside that bedtime story with his son where he's talking about Baghdadistan and the IED going off and all that, and so it's like they weren't too heavy-handed with it, but I thought it was just enough to like kind of set the stage for this guy's character and the things he was dealing with.
Right. You know what I want? Actually, I want to go here from now. This is something I hear people talk about from time to time, and it's like I've never really known my opinions on it, but this is a good movie that's like, do you need your characters to be likable or interesting? You know what I mean? Because there is no, I would say Gale, the one, his friend, like the best friend, is much more likable, obviously, than Jay, the main guy. But Jay's our perspective character, not likable, very not likable, but very interesting. And it's part of what gives, maybe it's like harder to enjoy the movie for that or whatever, but it's interesting. Like I'm into what's going to happen to this guy. And then by the end of it, he's kind of the victim. He's kind of the hero. It's fucking weird. It's a strange dynamic. And their friendship, don't you feel like normally if you were going to cast these guys just to look at them, and you're going to be like, one of these guys is going to go fucking crazy and end up going off the deep end, and the other guy is going to be pretty normal and stable. The friend looks like he would be the crazy guy. He looks like he would be the wild man in the bunch. The other one looks like the straight-laced dude. But
and it's crazy. You know what? I thinking on it. I don't know if we ever see the friend kill anybody. Like it's always. I don't think we ever see Gale, like, because in the church it's the main character. When they go to the library, it's the main character. And it's even at one point, it struck me as peculiar because when we'll get to this scene, but when he's like going ham on the dude with the hammer, and he's like, Gale's upstairs, and he kind of like, he's about to come back downstairs, and he kind of hears it, and he kind of hesitates and sits down, and like, kind of he's like overwhelmed a little bit, It's like, it's kind of too much for him. Like, he's like, yo, bro, like this.
Well, it's the same thing. It's a good point. Because first of all, that's a great point, because I didn't think of that. I don't think we ever see him kill anybody unless he's killing people when he's firing off at the crowd in the distance.
No, that's a great point. I didn't even frame it like that.
I mean, that was more of like a defense point at that point because they're all charging at him.
Right. That is interesting. And there's also the time when Jay, when he goes crazy and he goes on his vigilante part and he's shooting the dude in the face. He's like fucking brilliant. He does seem like super disturbed by all that too. What do you guys think of his relationship? Gale's relationship with Shell being the wife of the main character.
It seemed like he had a thing for her, right? Like a couple times I caught him giving the eye to her, and it seemed like he gave him that one speech where, she does everything for you. You got a great wife back at home and you treat her like shit, blah, 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 blah. So it seemed like and like, obviously, when they got into that argument and he was like, in front of my fucking best mate or whatever. And she's like, your best mate. So I think they were both, it was like they were all friends growing up together. And so, it seemed like there was I don't know. The tension was a little thick there.
I kind of took it as like Gail's like the only one to be able to keep Jimmy's head on straight, and so it's like he's formed like a bond with the wife because he came back traumatized and scarred, and so she didn't know how to cope with it, whatever, and so he's been like a rock for the both of them. I want to know his backstory though. It's like, was he like fucking Hackshaw, just getting through the whole war without killing anybody? You know, meanwhile Jimmy's
right. I think I take him as a killer, but they didn't want to show us that because they wanted us to like be on his side.
And there was so many great moments with him where you felt like you know, Link was alluding to, like that separation he had, like when they go into the priest office or whatever, and he closes the door and he does you know, the Father, Son, and the Trinity on his, like there's like little moments like that where you see where he's kind of like trying to retain his humanity. Yeah, and like I love that, like Link was talking about that scene where he's just beating him with the hammer and the dude's just like, man, it seems like all these, like both him and his wife are just constantly trying to like, you know, they're reacting to him and having to clean up his mess and, you know, deal with his violent outbursts, etc. I was half expecting, were y'all half expecting the wife to kind of jump in and start, because like when she was asking him updates about the missions, he's like one down, and she, you know what I mean? So it seemed like he definitely shared that part of his life with her. I was military and stuff. I was half expecting her to gear up for one of these.
I kind of think she's part of it. Like she maybe from time to time when she's out with the kid, like she's out in Kiev doing, you know what I mean, being a contract killer, or at least like maybe that's how they met, because like you said, she was part of the Swedish military because she said she wanted to. She's handy with a gun. We see her later when people come. Yeah, well, I guess we'll get into that. When people show up at the house, why does she kill them? It maybe appears she's part of it the whole time. It definitely, Fiona is definitely part of it. Sale said something.
This film did kind of remind me of a blend of certain shit. Like, it reminded me of like vaguely in Bruges, just because it was two fucking hitmen in Europe. That's the only connection. The ending, without getting to it, but I don't recommend ever watching this film. But there's this movie called A Serbian Film or something.
Oh, you've seen that?
Yeah, I was trying young and edgy, bro.
That's the film I hear about. That's like the one where I hear about exactly your attitude towards it. Is like, oh, it's one of the nastiest films to watch ever.
Yes, but the sheet part, that is kind of something that was done in the Serbian film. I'll tell you guys about it backstage here, but yeah, it was. I feel like that could have been a call to it.
Huh. Yeah, I wonder what year that was. If it was before this Serbian film?
08, 07.
Okay, I think, yeah, as soon as you said 08, that sounds right. Sal saying when Fiona carves that symbol in the back of the mirror, it definitely changes the tone. Definitely. But the cult aspect doesn't come in till way later. So here's the thing. The cult, there's a bunch of shit that the cult does that at first you don't really necessarily realize that it is the cult. The first being the rabbit that the cat kills. That's the cult that kills something, is making some kind of sacrifice or whatever to Jay. And Jay, like the way that it could be read, is that's him like accepting the sacrifice. He sits out in his yard and like eats it, and he's all happy about it. And then right after that, or a little bit after that, when he goes and does the deal with them to set up the hitman shit, to set up the contract, when the dude cuts his hand, that's clearly like the other part of that. Now they've mixed this blood. Fiona, as Sal says, Fiona marks the mirror. She steals his blood rag. So there's all that, pretty much everything that they're doing, the cult is behind, and everyone that they kill is fucking in on it in a way. It took me a minute. I was about to fucking lie, but it took me a second watch, but it really took me hearing fucking somebody say it on YouTube that everyone is down to be killed. It's the first guy is the one that's obvious, that says thank you or whatever. Or I guess the second guy is obvious too. He says thank you, and he's like, does he know who you are? And oh, I appreciate the shit out of you. And then the third one, we don't even know, because when they go there, that's when they fire a machine gun in the crowd. So everybody's kind of in on it. So the second act that doesn't feel culty at all is really like very culty, but it's just not like obvious.
Okay, so getting into the cult, when was this set up? Like, was this okay? I'm formulating as I'm talking. Like,
Mhm.
was it the Kiev mission? Is that why they mentioned the files? That when they
It's got to be either that or even before that. Remember, Gail asks, "How long have we been working for you?" The first time I
Gail
watched
was a
this,
part of it. There's I don't feel like
no,
if
no,
any,
no, as part of the cult.
yeah,
No, you remember when Gail asks them? He asked the cult leader, or the cult leader. He's like, "How long have we been working for you?" And the guy's like, "Don't embarrass yourself. You're a
yeah.
cog. This is Reconstruction." First of all, when I first watched the movie, and I don't know, I'm like, "Is this supernatural?" He's like, "How long have we been working for you?" I'm like, "Whoa, has their fucking minds been manipulated?" And like, you know what I mean? They
Mm.
don't know how long they've, but it's
Okay.
like, oh no, they're just saying like, we've been killing people for money for a long time. How many of these people have we been killing for you? And it
Right.
could, who knows? It could be a long fucking time, or it's Kiev. It definitely
Yeah,
that's part
it's
of it.
so my confusion was I know the people were in it that got killed, but like, are they? Why are they like what purpose did these killings serve?
To
That
go
was
on
my
this
thing. It's
grand
like,
setup.
yeah, was it like a journey for him to like ascend to this? Because it's I don't want to. Well, I
I
don't want
think
to
so.
get too
Well,
far
no,
ahead
let's
of
do it.
myself.
Let's do it. I would say this is the part of the show where we will say we will spoil parts of the ending right here. Where I take it at the end. Well, fuck it. We'll spoil the entire ending. Just we don't have to dance around it at all. You guys in the chat, go check it out because this does happen at the very end of the movie. If you're interested in it, seems like something you'd like to see. We're gonna spoil it now. It's on Shutter. Come back, find out what we said about it then or afterwards. At the end of the movie, he long story fucking short, this cult gets him, puts a mask on him so he can't see shit, and there's this hunchback as Link alluded to earlier, and he ends up having to like do like a fight to the death. The hunchback seems willing to do the fight, right? And we find out that's his wife with his son on her back. He kills the son for sure. We don't know if the wife survives. I think she did.
I thought she did too.
Wikipedia says she doesn't. I say Wikipedia is wrong.
I feel like
And she laughs though. She
yeah,
laughs
The laugh
after
made me
he
felt.
kills the son.
Yeah, that made me feel like
as
she was
she's
in it.
dying. That
Should
was
I
like a
just tell you?
last gasp type shit, you know.
See, is that
That's
what you
how
see? This is my theory. This is my theory. She has been convinced in the same by Fiona, in the same way that all these other people that he's killed the whole movie have been convinced that they should die and that this sacrifice is good. So that she's kind of been like taken into this cult, whatever the fucking word is for it. And yeah, you get what I'm saying?
I see now that
Yeah.
you said there's something supernatural going on. I feel like there might be because if she was part of the cult, why the whole shootout in the house when he was already got jumped in the woods? Why is
That's
she
the
in the
biggest
house?
thing against my theory because it's like, yeah, what the fuck?
Yeah.
She
Yeah,
didn't
you're
even
right.
kill
You're right,
her.
man. Because it doesn't. That's a huge issue with the
But
theory.
it feels nefarious, and it feels like she's there, she's in on it in some kind of way. That laugh, that one laugh. If she had just been on the ground and had like a kind of like a still look on her face or something like that, I think it would have changed the whole thing. But that laugh makes you think, man, what's
Exactly.
going on
You
here?
know what's funny? A lot of people credit The Witch for like kind of being a revival of folk horror. Which folk horror, I mean, it's not a super common term until semi
Yeah,
recently. It was originally like The Wicker Man and Blood on Satan Claus and these very specific 70s films that had a lot of times, like one of the things about it is like everybody else kind of knows something's going on, but you don't, which is that's a big folk horror
so
part of this entire movie is like, what the fuck, they don't know what's happening. But
I
what was
don't.
it?
Well,
I think
hold on.
Oh no,
Just
no,
this.
this is what I wanted to say real quick
Okay,
before
go
I
ahead. Yeah,
forget.
no, go ahead.
The laugh that she does at the end, the witch at the Witch and Midsummer, two movies that came out, both folk horror movies, that the ending scene is a female laughing at the camera and you're not really sure why. Is that a good thing or is that a bad thing? And it's like, well shit, this did that before both of them. And he did another folk horror movie called Field I'm messing up, something about a field in dreams or so, England Field something.
Kevin Costner.
But he's kind of the guy that really started the folk horror revival. But sorry, what were you gonna say?
It reminded me of the end of Hereditary, and like how he was like kind of like ascending to this throne of power. You know what I mean? It seemed like they had kind of like crowned him in some type of sense. And
He's
I
like
don't
a
know
deity to them. I think they
exactly.
made him a god. Everything was a test to see if like he could make it to the end and do the sacrifice.
It was such a freaking batshit turn too, because like we said, the seeds are there, and you know, like something else is at play. But man, that final sequence, like when they're kind of scouting out the cult happening before they get involved in it and all that, it's just so well done. I love the tunnel stuff when they're going back and forth and running, like that was really well shot. So
see, I did think that was, don't get me wrong, I wasn't like fucking trembling in fear, but I thought the film made like a sharp enough turn. If they were just people running at them without the screech and like the crazy sound that was happening, I would be like, no, this isn't horror. But I look at the movie like it starts out, it's a family drama, this like really serious family drama, first act, and then we've got the contract killer middle act, and then we have the folk horror finish. And it's like there's enough horror at the end that it's like, okay, this is why this movie, because a lot of the time I'm watching, I'm like, why do people talk about this in horror circles? Why was this on Shudder? And I even kind of thought that at the end of my first watch to a degree. It wasn't until the second watch that I was like, okay, there's enough horror in there that it's like, where else would you put it, I guess?
Yeah, for sure. I think
made for $800,000 is worth mentioning too. It's very cheap.
Those how much?
800,000.
That's awesome.
Wow.
Yeah.
But I even though they're like the blood relatives, you know, I feel like it's more thriller. It's a psychological thriller type shit.
100%. I'm with you. It's more all the other things than it is horror. It's just horror those last like 20 minutes with some part of the vibes that I'm talking about is just like the musical cues and some of the some things. If it was just like a straight contract killer movie, would have been scored and shot way differently.
So, you know, I did get like that last scene where he's like when they're in the tunnels. It did kind of remind me of The Descent. Just a little bit, you know, just because they're like you said, the screeching and everything's claustrophobic, and then when Gil gets got, unfortunately, you know, that
which was good.
Yeah, that I was like, oh shit, I thought Gil was for sure gonna get away because Jimmy, I was like, oh, he wants to smoke, you know, so he might as well just stay back and.
Which I feel like that scene right there is the reason why we never saw Gale kill anyone through the movie. They wanted us to like connect with him more than we ever did with Jay and be like, shit, now he's gone. It's kind of he's the heart of the movie. And I like what you said earlier, Steph. Like I think their relationship is one of my favorite aspects of the film. Like these two men that are, you know, they've been through some shit. Like they have like an emotional little hug at one point that I thought was like really touching. I thought the acting was phenomenal. Everybody was.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I love when he like had the conversation with him and he like brought him back and made the husband and wife hug. That was so like I thought that was so genuine and real.
It was.
It's like the first 30 minutes. It's all family movie. Like it's crazy how much the back end holds up.
It's 20 minutes before you even know that they're contract killers. Did you guys? Well, Link, we knew because we read the synopsis at the end of the last show. Stu, did you know like that they were contract killers, or did you read anything before you?
I didn't really know. I kind of went into it mostly blind. Yeah,
that's good because it's 20 minutes before they bust out a gun, and you know that they're killers, and even that is pretty subtle. They never don't you? I almost kind of wish they would have like had a list, and like we would have seen it. They would have made like a clear like, okay, this is what we've got to do. Maybe say like we've got to kill the priest and the librarian and blah 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 before you kill anybody. Like there was something. That was for whatever was an issue to me. And another thing, like pacing wise, that was a bit of an issue. Is like remember after I don't know when it happens. I think it might be after they fire the guns into the crowd and do all the tunnel stuff. It's either after that or right before it. They like go back home in the middle of the kill list. After the second kill, he like goes back home to his wife and like they hang out and they have a day or two. And it's like it kind of like bogged things down for a second there. So you guys remember what I'm talking about?
No, are you talking when Gil died?
No, when is it after Gale died? Maybe it's before. I honestly not sure.
No, he goes back and Fiona's there. Remember? Like, and Fiona's like, and he's kind of like weirded out by it.
Oh yeah, because that's after he did the hammer smashing. Because he goes and checking out his body and he's got that weird red rash all over him and stuff.
Well, what was that? Was that just from the infection?
Oh, no.
Is that how you guys read that? Like the infection was spreading?
I don't even know, man. I hope his hand got right. I hope they got some supernatural ointment for that hand. That hand was rough.
There was some that was like demonic plague or something, bro.
He was going through it.
Link, you mentioned the head smash deal. That was fucking crazy. I watched it twice and I was like, how did they do that?
That was
like, was that a real? It was a real body. I'm almost positive that couldn't have been a real head. So where was dude's head? Because you can't hit a fucking head that hard with. I don't know. What are you gonna do?
And the way dude was saying thank you after each violent little sequence, he was like, thank you. I was like, man, this is, and then that scene, it was like, whoa, that was brutal as shit.
Yeah, there's something really uncomfortable about how, because he, after the first smash, the body, he's like, and the dude like ricochets, and then there's just more, and it's I don't know, because I wondered that myself, because I'm like, there's no cuts, like the dude walks him into the chair, sets him down, and then goes to town. So
that I like what you said with that. Man, the no cut thing. That just reminded me of like the editing in general. It's kind of the opposite of what you're saying, is the cuts. I liked a lot of like let's skip all the bullshit. Everybody gets what's about to happen and cut to the aftermath of something. There's a moment where they're about to have a fight, the husband and the wife, when I think when he kicks Fiona out the second time or whatever, they're about to go at each other, and then it just cuts to them in bed afterwards, and they've calmed down. It's like, we get it. They had a fight. They calmed down, and let's get to. We don't want to have to hear that shit again. We did that earlier. There's a few examples.
Or even the movie. When Jimmy and Gil kind of get into that little scuffle, like it doesn't last too long, and you just cut to the aftermath of them just kind of both chilling.
Right.
Right.
Same thing.
Yeah. It's like that reminded me like Steven Soderbergh did that in Line. He liked the scenes he chose to show you, or like the emotion. Like I love that scene when she's on the phone with her parents and talking in Swedish, and like, you know what I mean? You don't need to know everything about what's going on, but
is that part of it?
You know what I mean? Right. It just gives it mysterious context. Like you don't know if it's upset because of the state of the marriage, or it's like,
right.
Yeah.
She was like speaking to her handler, because he was at the foot of the stairs. Like he was like, wait a minute, God damn it. I don't understand that. And I'm going to take that as offense because I don't.
I don't fucking know Swedish. I think I don't think it's a movie for everyone. Clearly, it's not like everyone's going to love this and eat it up, but I feel very strongly that it's a very well-made movie. Like it's not. I was thinking like, you guys remember we did a Coherence. Coherence was that one that was like handheld camera. It was a really sci-fi thing. I dug it quite a bit, but it was. I remember saying about that there wasn't like much art in the look of it, and I thought that originally. On a second watch, I'm like, this is pretty well shot for what it is, but it's that documentary style the whole time, so it's not like, you know what I mean. Like we said about the Lighthouse, Link. It's not you're not gonna take a bunch of stills out of this and hang them up on your wall, but it's still well shot for what it is.
Absolutely.
I think it's just like the British filmmaking. Like at certain points, maybe it's just because I'm programmed from like Guy Ritchie and Edgar Wright. I was half expecting them to do like a quick shot of the zoom in of a hand doing something,
right?
But it reminded me of Jenny Penn.
Jenny Penn,
yes.
From film we covered last week, brand new Shudder original starring John Lithgow. Go check out our review.
And Jeffrey Rush.
The Rule of Jenny Penn.
Huh?
The Rule of Jenny Penn, just to clear
the rule, yes, the Rule of Jenny Penn. But no, the way because there's like a lot of like slow, close-ups in this as well. I don't know if that's like that can't be like a British filmmaking trait, but I did notice the similarities.
Right. Okay, fuck, man. I feel like we've hit most of what I wanted to hit. How about I just did want to touch on, like, I guess this is the part that I'd missed. Like when he watches that tape and his reaction to that tape that they find, like they follow this guy there and he's the librarian.
Yeah.
So like what they find are snuff films or child something where the one guy watches like, I can't fucking look at that. And then Jay sits there and like lets it fuel his rage. And then he goes on his vigilante rampage. I just thought that was really interesting and adds a whole nother layer. Is that part of the cult? Are they killing these people? Is the cult against what they were doing? Are they for what they were doing?
Yeah.
It's like there's a lot of like just like interesting questions that don't go answered. You can analyze it forever and take guesses. What does reconstruction mean? That's another one. The guy calls them cogs. He said this is about reconstruction. reconstructing their putting him as the deity in their religion, I guess, is now what I'm
Or
thinking. They're
mentally,
reconstructing their religion by, you know what I mean? It's the same thing as what Midsummer does and Hereditary does at the end. They have a new maid queen in Midsummer. They have a new whatever the fuck he is in Hereditary, and now he's the new like whatever in this religion.
I took it as like a they're restructuring his mental. Because I was thinking on it earlier, but I couldn't really. I was trying to think of like numerical thematics or something, because it's like he kills two randos, but then the last three people he kills are people that are like the only people he cared about, his Gail, his wife, and his son. So I'm wondering if that was like the final phase to get him ready for ascension.
Right. That's a good point. The reconstruction could be reconstructing his mindset or whatever, reconstructing him to get him ready for that.
Send him off, deeper into his bloodlust,
So my boy was ready for that knife fight, man. They gave him that knife fight. He looked like Muhammad Ali over there in the corner. I said, man, I feel sorry.
I was sitting there thinking, I'm like, bro, why don't you start swinging on everybody, man? Like, you're just gonna be like, okay, yeah, tournament.
And that's the other thing. If the wife wasn't in on it, then why wouldn't she be like, hey, it's me? Like, she sits there and like she's fighting back too. That's the biggest contradiction in the movie, is that she is shooting them earlier.
Oh, my bad.
No, that's it.
I feel like there could be some mind control, like we mentioned earlier. I don't know how, but when they're in the office and he was like, how long have we been working for you? And I kind of felt like that was a genuine thing. And he was like, he said, piss off. He didn't give him an answer. He's like, you've been doing this long enough.
See, that's what I'm saying. I read it the first time. It is like they had manipulated their mind. But I think I read it now as just they'd been killing people. How they didn't know that that's who they'd been killing for. Like you find out, oh, fuck, I've been working for you this whole time, killing people. Or what? It's a crazy thing to think about. Also, that's just a cool premise. You've got cults out there making sacrificial kills. You have people killing people for money. Mix them together. It's like it is an interesting thing. Well, I don't want to get my hands dirty. Let's do some sacrificial killing.
The wife thing fucks me up just because it's like the shootout scene. Why was she defending the house? Like, what was the point in that? Jimmy had already gotten jumped at that point, so he was already. So she should have been. I don't know. Or
it's implied that which Jay's the main character, knows Fiona, and is keeping her intentions a secret from Gail.
Oh, I did not miss that.
I would think maybe the other way around, but I don't know. And here's another thing. Like Fiona's way too good looking to be with Gail. So it's like that's why I think she was with Gail in the first place, just to
Fiona and Shell. I thought Fiona and Shell might be in league together. You know what I mean? Like when she started keeping her around.
If you can elaborate, Sale, I would love it if you could elaborate on why you believe that to be so. Because I don't know. I don't see it as that, but that's interesting if that is the case. I think exactly what you said. She definitely got to Shell. She turned Shell. But I feel like I don't want to drag this on. I feel like we done did it. I hit everything I wanted to say other than that when that fucking dude slices his hand open. How realistic is that? That was like, what?
Cut the shit out of that thing. That's why I like Gail. He's like, it's all right, man. He's like, no, it's fucking not. You know what I mean? I was like, dude, just cut the shit out of here. Yeah.
When he's running it underwater in the sink and like the blood keeps running out, it looks so realistic. It's like, I don't know. I was really impressed by that. I was honestly questioning, did he really just fucking cut him? But I'm sure he didn't.
I like the line when the wife's checking the hand out and she's like, oh, it's infected, baby. We need to go to the hospital. And he's like, I'll just get some cream or something, He just like so.
And then they do that edit again where they just cut to him and he's at the doctor. It's like, that fucking cream is not going to work. It's like, duh. So good. It was. It's a really. I'm glad we all seem to at least enjoy it enough because it's an interesting movie that, like I said, I was a little nervous like halfway through it. I'm like, oh man, I might have. Part of it is like I'm asking you guys to watch this movie. I know we've got watchers and viewers that watch these movies. I'm like, oh man, I hope this isn't as bad as it might be. But I thought it was pretty damn good. But all right, let's go ahead and wrap this bitch up. Rate this thing. Get up out of here. We'll tell you what we're doing next week. We'll tell you what Stu's doing. We'll tell you what Link is doing. And let's do this. So let's kick it off for us, Mr. Link. What are you giving out of 5 Kill List?
Based on a first watch, I'll give this one a solid 3.75. I did enjoy the acting, the filmography, not filmography, the cinematography. Um, the premise was interesting enough. There's just certain things I wish they kind of would have explored or expanded upon a little bit more. Just there's so many questions, and then don't get me wrong, I love questions, but the right questions so that a film leaves you asking. There's some good questions and some plot hole questions, you know. But it was still a film that I think is worth my time. And it is interesting because it does kind of switch gears towards the end, just a little bit for a couple minutes, but it was a little interesting switch. And the director went on to do like a big budget blockbuster. Shit,
Isn't
he
that
at least
wild?
worked with Jason Statham, you know. Like,
Who's the guy that did? What's his name? The guy that ended up doing like the King Kong movies. That started doing like mumblecore. He did VHS. He did a short in VHS. I think he did like Godzilla versus King Kong. He's like a huge. He's done a lot of huge movies.
What's shit? He did. He did Your Next?
Yes.
With the Step Up.
Adam Wingard.
Yes.
It's kind of a similar thing. This guy's a less successful Adam Wingard. Even his horror movies aren't as successful, and his blockbusters aren't quite as big. But it's kind of the same, similar thing. So, a 3.75 from the missing link. We got 6 dudes saying, "What if the cult is the mob?" I do dig it. Easily could be. And Sal saying, "I thought I remember a scene where Fiona is outside the window and she waves at Jay." So I could see that being just like she probably has this like deep admiration and she wants to thank him too. To her, Jay is some special guy that's going to be a deity. You know what I mean? So that could be what that is, rather than him knowing about it. But where you at on it, Stu? Out of 5?
Man, to me, I think a sign of a great work of art is how, how it stays with you. And this one has not left my mind since I watched it. I thought about it last night going to bed, thought about it this morning, waking up. This one was a abrupt left turn for me. I didn't see the twist exactly coming. I thought it was fantastic, man. It really it captivated me start to finish. So I'm going to go 4 out of 5 for this one. I think it could have done a couple things better, but overall it was a great effort. So 4 out of 5 for me.
I think just to reiterate, like that's the biggest thing for me is that one plot hole. Just the last time I say it, we've said it a few times. If it wasn't for that plot hole about the wife shooting, that is the question that's like, damn. That's the only question that's left unanswered. That it's like, wait, that's a bad
they
one.
could have gotten a little bit
really
smarter.
Interesting.
Yeah, they could have gotten I think it just a little bit more clever with it. I thought they were, and they kind of they wanted to leave it open ended, obviously, but I think they could have been a little bit more cheeky with it.
I also like how it just ends right after we reveal. We've got a second to like, wait, what, and then it's fucking over with the symbol. But what's that like?
Makes you sit there with that fucking feel like, damn.
Yeah,
I love that. I love when a movie does that. It leaves you sit exactly. We don't give you anything else to digest it. Just like, okay, that's what you get. Deal with it. That's cool.
Okay, so was the kid was in on it? You know, like I feel like at his age, he's like kids.
Fiona brought him a present. Fiona, they mentioned that's something I picked up on a second watch. She says, "Yeah, Fiona brought him a present." So it's like, well, yeah, he could have, if not been in on it, been like something. You know what I mean? The same thing as where Jay ate the rabbit, maybe something like that. They got him to eat something, just like in Midsummer, the girl drinks the drink with the period blood in it, I believe, or some pubic hair or some shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a folk horror thing. We're gonna put something in your food.
There's like a lot of occult shit that I gotta, because the leaving the symbolism or the symbol in the bathroom, like I'm sure there's like why'd she place it there at that time, like
mirrors
dude, I just thought about this. You remember when he's playing with the kid out in the front yard in the beginning of the film, and they're playing with the swords, and he's stabbing him?
Yeah. He does this to the wife. Yeah. It's like in slow motion. He's stabbing the shit out of the wife too. That's cool.
That's cool. I just thought about that.
I mean, it really is. It's one that warrants a rewatch because I enjoyed it. I probably would have given it like a 3.25 on my first watch. Late at night, tired, missed some things, so that's part of that. But I'll give it a 4.25. on this one. I really enjoyed it. Just a well-made, super well acted. All the characters, there's not many of them, but they're all interesting. It's a thinker, like you said, Stu. It's one that kind of sticks with you.
Yeah, man.
And a little. All right. So next week, I just had to figure out what we were doing at the last moment. And this is what I went with. Night of the Living Dead, 1990, directed by Tom Savini, starring, I can't think of his name, Tony Todd. Tony Todd, the Candyman, plays the lead role in Night of the Living. I've never seen this. This is another one I've never seen. I've never heard anything but good things about it. As a remake, some people say it's better than the 1968 version, which is one of my favorites. I love the shit out of that movie. So I'm looking forward to seeing like how it compares to that one. Has anyone seen this?
Nope.
You have, Link? Yeah. Okay. All right. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. And Stu, for some reason I thought I had your thumbnail. What you got going on, man?
Sorry. Yeah. I got Surrounded by Short Boxes dropping sometime. New episode featuring Superman and Swamp Thing, Alan Moore tales. So be on the lookout for that. Of course, Ink and Insights was last night, Wednesdays, 9:30 p.m. Eastern. We just started a new Patreon over at patreon.com/Ink and Insights. Free to subscribe. Go check us out over there. Got a new newsletter pop in. And what else, man? I'll be on Blame Fable tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern. I think that's about it for your boy. I can't wait to be back here next week at our regularly scheduled time. I appreciate y'all working with me.
Yeah, we will be here
in chat for coming out
next week, 12:30 Central Time, 1:30 Eastern Time. Hopefully, we'll see. Unless something pops up. But also, I was going to say, I didn't realize until Robbie posted it. I assumed that he's doing the Flintstones this week. Nick, you on that by any chance?
No, not this week. But yeah, it is Flintstones.
Okay,
that is a wild choice.
Yeah,
it is.
He's doing Bad Movie Month, and I saw this. I was like, Bad Movie. This is a movie that like my wife just has on all the time. She'll be doing some craft or whatever, and she's just got Flintstones on in the background.
That would be
I love this movie.
I love it too. That would be a cool movie to own a prop from. You know what I mean? They had so many like wild ass props in that movie.
That would be crazy. All right, Link, you got anything going on other than that?
I know. I'm always littered to the internet, but I'll be around.
All right,
nothing's coming up. But yeah, no.
You gentlemen in the chat. Sal 6 Deuce, John, thank you for popping in, man. Easy, my brother, appreciate you being here. Kenneth Bird, Kakayo, son of a bitch, appreciate you guys being here. Johnny recaps you as well. Yeah, Johnny hit me up, said he has not been getting notifications. He said he ding that notification bell, but has not been getting notifications when we go live. So thank you for that, Johnny. But I don't know what to do with it, man. I can't call YouTube and tell them like, hey man, Johnny Recap says you're not getting the notes. What the fuck? But I do appreciate that, brother. You guys go sub up to his channel as well, and we will get out of here and see you for Night of the Living Dead on Thursday.